What's up, everyone? My name is Gary Blackwood, and I am at the Bellagio for the last time this summer. This is the final Vegas vlog of the summer, and it's a two-parter, so let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the action. Picking up our first hand of the day here on the flop with a double espresso, and more importantly, pocket sevens. Early position is raised pre-flop to $30. Low jack is called. I have made the call, and the small blind calls as well. We go multi-way to the flop, and it comes down ace, deuce, deuce with two spades. Early position is going to bet out for $30. Kinda likely he has an ace when he bets into several people, but I've just shotted a double espresso. I ain't going anywhere. I make the call and the small blind calls as well. It's kind of annoying when somebody else calls because now I'm almost never ahead here. Turn is a king. It's going to check on over to me. I decide to just check this one back. River has the jack of spades. Front door flush has just got in there. And what's more, there are two very, very quick checks on over to me. I guess we got a bluff now, especially with a spade in my hand. I bet out for $300. Small blind quickly gets out the way. And then early position says, if you got a flush, you got it. And then calls. I proudly table my pocket sevens. And he has got queen 10 of hearts. Very surprised to see that after the flop c-bet. I tell the table the sheer smell of the espresso made me go crazy with my pocket sevens there. Annoying to see queen 10 of hearts, and I am stuck $500 early on. No matter though, it's early, the game is good, let's just keep it going. Next up, I've got ace jack offsuit in the small blind. The button is raised to $30. Easy re-raise, of course, out the small blind. I make it $130 to go, and then I face a very, very quick 4-bet.
500. Like,
What?
oh, you got ace jack?
Yeah, I have to re-raise. I can't call
But
500.
you have to know what you're reasonably looking for, I guess.
Right, hang on once, I'll show that to the camera. Get me back to London. $500 with ace queen. Fun table, but a tough start for me. No matter though, because the relatively pretty pre-flop hands are going to keep on coming. This time I've got 10-9 of diamonds and the straddle is on. I'm going to raise it on up to $40 under the gun. It's going to fold all the way around to the straddle, and he is going to call. We're going to go heads up to the flop, and it comes down queen 7-3 all red. It's got 2 hearts and 1 diamond. I decide to c-bet my hand for $40, and my opponent is going to check raise to $90. This is a $50 raise. I'm in position. I've got 3 card straight, 3 card flush. I decide to make the call, see if we can pick up equity. The 8 of diamonds on the turn is about as good as can be, and my opponent bets on the turn for $80. Now, this feels like a weak queen or a draw of some kind, and I doubt this player ever folds either when I raise here. So, yes, in theory, I think this is a great spot to raise and push your equity. But I think versus a player who's not going to fold that much, their ranges really sort of face up. I decide to just call and see if I can realize my equity. River is a heart. I really got excited there when I saw the red, but unfortunately, I've still got 10 high. And after a check on over to me, I don't think my opponent ever has a flush. I think he's basically always got a weak queen. Can we make that fold? Only one way to find out. I bet out for $350 on the river. Don't love this in hindsight. A little more meat on the bone would be better. Something like $550. He then says that he trapped me, and that's not good. He then says he has a small flush. That is disastrous. And then, of course, he makes the call. He's got 9-3 of hearts, and my 2 small river size ended up saving me some money. But good God, what a tough start today. I'm about an hour in. I haven't won a single pot, and I'm stuck $1,000. This is not the best of starts, but you just got to keep it going. Next up, I've got king queen offsuit on the button. Middle position is raised it on up to $30. The cutoff calls. The cutoff is the guy I've lost every hand to so far today, so I decide to put in this squeeze here. It's a little loose, but I want to beat this guy in a pot at last. I make it $140 to go. After middle position folds, the cutoff is going to make the call. We go heads up to the flop, and it comes down ace 8-6 rainbow. Not really what I was looking for, but I decide to c-bet anyway. I bet out for $120, and after a few seconds, my opponent makes the call. Turn is a 10. We've picked up equity, and my opponent checks on over to me again. This is normally a good spot to continue to barrel. I'm not quite at the live tells retreat level yet, but I can tell when someone is really strong, and even though I've got a good hand to barrel, this guy feels really, really strong here. So I'm going to go with that read and just check it back here. Like I say, clear turn barrel, but I decide to just check it on back. River is another ace, and my opponent then announces blocker bet. and bets out for $320. I take a few seconds. I, of course, just fold. He's going to show the camera. He has got pocket eights. I felt he was strong by the way he checked on the turn, and I was absolutely right. Even though I can't win a hand, at least the reads are on point, and at least the straddle is on. And in this next hand, I have double straddled to come back into the game, picking up the monster that is Queen 4 offsuit. Really annoying. Folds all the way into the straddle. He is going to limp in. And all these trashy hands like Queen 4 offsuit and 8 deuce offsuit and stuff, they like to raise sometimes. So I spin the RNG in my head for 25, find it, and then make it $180 to go. Action is back on my opponent. He is going to make the call. And we see the flop come down, ace 9-9 rainbow. I am concerned here about getting myself into a bit of a pickle with Queen 4 offsuit, but I do decide to c-bet for $100. And thankfully, he just folds. I was really worried I was going to have to start blasting or something there, but we do take it down. And this is my first pot I've won today in an hour and 45 minutes. That is insane. And obviously, I didn't randomize in my head. I use a chip protector to randomize. This is between 0 and 25. This is between 25 and 50. This is 50 to 75, and this is 75 to 100. So please stop asking in the comments. Just kidding, of course. Ask anything you like. Back to the poker now, and I'm going to raise this 10-9 offsuit in the cutoff here. It's a bit loose, obviously, but before I do, check out how quickly the button will fold after I raise. So I'm going to raise, the button is going to get out of the way. This is a top tip for y'all. Non-pros will sometimes hold their cards out when they're going to fold when it's not on them. So if you're in the cutoff, for example, you can open your button range when they elect to do this. It's a great way to play more pots on the button without actually being on the button. And obviously we win more money when we're on the button. I'm giving out all my secrets today. And here's another one. When you've got pocket kings, put more money in the pot. Small blinders raise it on up to $40, and I make it $140 to go. After a few seconds, he just folds. Really tame, really frustrating day so far in terms of action hands. And I'm really hopeful that'll change soon. At least the game is good, hence me buying in a little deeper now. Unfortunately, the straddle has come off, so yes, I'm a little bit deeper, but we're playing a smaller game now, which is a little frustrating. Next up, I've got pocket fives in the cutoff. I raise it on up to $30. Small blind is going to re-raise. He makes it $130 to go. He's a vlog watcher from New Jersey, so naturally I defend. I want to stack this guy so he can make the vlog. We go heads up to the flop. It comes down Jack, Jack 6 rainbow. And he is going to check it on over to me. I'd expect a range bet on this board, but he does check it on over to me, and I decide to check back. Turn is a 6. I'm now playing the board here with a 5 kicker. He checks again, and I decide to take a stab here. Like I said, I'm playing the board. Maybe we can make a better hand fold. I bet out for $180. This is the size I would bet with a hand like 7s or 10s. He is going to make the call, and we see a queen roll off on the river. He checks it on over to me, and this is really weak poker to bet on the turn and then just give up. But something tells me he's just not folding, so I check it on back, and he shows me pocket 10s. Again, I think I've slightly misplayed the river here, but it's probably saved me a little bit of money. It's been the kind of day where I'm just topping up again and again. You can see it here on your screens, just adding more money. It's a disaster day so far. But hoping that'll change when I look down at pocket queens in the cutoff. A couple of players have posted no straddle. There's an English player in the game. He raises it on up to $50. Action is on me, and I decide to re-raise. I make it $150 to go in the cutoff. Action is back on my opponent, and he puts in the 4-bet. He makes it $450 to go. The only read that I've got is this player has played quite solid so far. That's actually a good thing, because then he can have 4-bet bluffs, and he's just not a total nit who's just playing aces and kings like this. So I make the call here in position with my pocket queens. We go heads up to the flop, and it comes down 6-4-4 with 2 hearts. Relatively decent for my queens. He is going to bet out for $230, and after a few seconds, I make the call. Turn is a 7, and my opponent checks it on over to me. I don't think jacks are going to 4-bet in this position. So when he checks it on over to me, can we get called by worse? Is ace-king going to call a small bet here? I decide, no, we can't really get called by worse here with pocket queen, so I just check it on back. We see the 9 of hearts roll off on the river, and my opponent checks it on over to me. Same as on the turn. If I don't think my opponent is going to have 10s or jacks, what types of hands can he call here on the river? I think about it long and hard, but I don't think we can get called by worse here. It looks a little nitty to check back queens twice, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. If you think there's some sort of hand that we can get value from on the turn or on the river, let me know. I don't think so. I just check it on back. He announces king high, and maybe I should make him show in case it's like king 7 suited or something, but I just show my queens and I am dragging in a nice pot at last. Really interesting hand. Let me know in the comments what you think. I understand it looks really nitty to check back with queens on the turn and on the river, but let me know in the comments if there's a combo that we can get value from that I can't think of. Very next hand, I pick up pocket queens back to back. Unfortunately, just going to take it down pre-flop. I actually had pocket nines 3 out of 4 times at the Mandalay Bay like 10 years ago. It was absolutely insane. I really miss playing in places like Mandalay Bay and Harrah's and, you know, all the smaller casinos when they had poker rooms. It was really, really an awesome part of Vegas. Moving on now, I've got ace-jack offsuit on the button. The cutoff is the English fella. He's going to raise it on up to $30, and I put in the re-raise. I make it $110 to go here on the button. He is going to make the call, and we go heads up to Jack 7-3 with 2 spades. Really good start here. I've got top pair, top kicker, and I decide to c-bet. I bet out for $120, and after a few seconds, my opponent makes the call. Turn is a really safe board pairing 3. He shouldn't have any 3x, and I bet again, this time for $360. After a few seconds, happy to see my opponent makes the call. River is another 3, which is a little annoying because I'm now chopping with hands like King Jack and Queen Jack and stuff like that. I was going to bet relatively big on a brick river, but I now decide to size down to $760, just trying to make it look like I've got a King Queen of Diamonds type hand that wants to fold out his draws. I've got a really horrible feeling that he's going to jam here, which I'm probably not folding, but it would be pretty nutted if he did. But eventually he does just let it go, and I'll absolutely take it. Climbing out the hole, I'm only stuck $1,110 for the day here. Unfortunately, I have been summoned for some media duty, so I am throwing my chips into my bag and heading out into the hot Vegas sun, running into the Horseshoe to do a bit of promo work before returning to the Bellagio the next day, my last day in Vegas. Let's check it out. First hand of the day, I'm going to pick up ace-king offsuit on the button. The cutoff is raised it on up to $30, and I put in the re-raise. I make it $100 to go. Big blind is going to cold call, and the cutoff gets out the way. We go heads up to the flop, and it comes down king 10-9 rainbow. Decent start with top pair, top kicker, albeit on a very connected board. I actually think this is a pretty good board for the cold caller's calling range, but still I decide to bet out for $80, and my opponent quickly makes it $300 to go. This is a little scary. Normally the cold call range is like 9s, 10s, jacks, ace king, ace queen, king queen. All these hands are doing really well on this board, so I'm going to make a very, very tight fold in the first hand of the day. My opponent is cold called and quickly put in a large check raise. I am just out of there with ace king. I think this is a really good fold, but I'm sure you guys, if you don't think so, you'll let me know in the comments. Just a few minutes later, I pick up ace-queen offsuit under the gun. I'm going to raise it on up to $30. Middle position makes the call, and the cutoff calls as well. Middle position is a player from the last hand. We go heads up to the flop, and it comes down jack 10-3 all spades. I've got that queen of spades working for me, but I had a position versus 2 players. I decide to check. It is just going to check all the way around. Turn is a 3 to pair the board, and I decide to bet out now. We can make hands like red pocket 8s fold. We retain equity when called. I bet out for $70, and middle position very quickly makes it $200 to go. This guy is out to get me today. After the cutoff gets out the way, I decide to just let it go again. With the ace of spades, I would call, but I decide to just fold here. What are the bluffs? It's a weird line for my opponent, but with a marginal queen high flush draw on a paired board, I just let it go. I am the master of good folds today so far. And I decide, you know what? This table isn't for me. It's not the best. So I try my luck at a new table. And I'm really happy I decided to move. First hand of note, I've got ace-10 offsuit in the hijack. I raise it on up to $30. Button is going to make the call. And we'll go heads up to king 10-9. This is the second time I've seen this flop today. I'm going to check it on over to him with my second pair, and the button just checks it back. Turn is an ace to give me 2 pair, and I'm quite polar here, so I decide to bet out really big. I bet out for $100. After a few seconds, my opponent is going to make the call, and we see a 7 roll off on the river. That shouldn't change anything. As I'm throwing out my river bet, my opponent says,
I wanted to make the vlog.
the nut low? I'll put it in. I'll put it in. Really nice guy from Texas. I'm glad he was able to make the vlog. If he had jammed on the river here, though, I would have dedicated an entire episode to him, thumbnail and everything. Game is getting a little ragged now, a little short-handed, not too much action. And let's try this king-queen suited an hour later. Under the gun has raised it on up to $30. We couldn't get the straddle going. Under the gun +1 is going to make the call, middle position calls, and I squeeze out the big blind. I make it $180 to go. Under the gun is going to make the call here. Everyone else is going to get out the way, and we go heads up to 10-10-6 with 2 spades and 1 heart. No immediate help from my hand, but this just feels like a really nice hand to triple on this board. So I start out with a bet of $140, and after a few seconds, my opponent makes the call. Turn is the 4 of hearts. Board is double paired now. And I bet again, this time for $500. I'm planning to follow through on non-flush completing rivers. And when my opponent calls again, we see the 10 of clubs roll off on the river. This is a weird board here, but I stick with the plan. I move all in. Bait the snap call. That is really good. My opponent goes deep into the tank. He is really thinking over his options. I am sitting still as a statue, trying not to give anything away. And eventually, he just lets it go. Thank God. You old school regs who are watching can stick your Zebo theorem up your ass. He then asks to see my cards. I say that he can see and nobody else. The table is okay with it, so I pass my cards on over to him. He braces himself, then looks down at my cards. After looking at them, he straightens up and says to the table,
We're the Americans.
Absolutely hilarious. Top sport for my opponent, and I am glad that the continent I come from didn't cost me there on the river. Next up, I've got ace-4 of hearts in the big blind. Straddle is on now. Cutoff has raised it on up to $60. Button makes the call. And I, of course, squeeze with my ace-4 of hearts. I make it $260 to go. Button is the only caller. And we go heads up to queen 8-7 rainbow. Again, not what I was looking for. Not even a heart to get excited about. But still, I decide to c-bet here. I bet out for $200 just to see what happens. After a few seconds, my opponent makes the call. Turn is the deuce of hearts, full rainbow board now, and I think I've got a really nice unblocker candidate to continue barreling. I unblock hands like pocket 9s, 10s, jacks, ace jack of spades, king jack of clubs, all these types of hands. So I bet again, this time for $750, setting up for the river jam if my opponent calls, but thankfully he's just gonna let it go. That was a little scary there. I'm a blasting machine today. A blasting machine who has forgotten how to count his stack after the last 2 hands. We're going to have to wait until the end of the next hand. I've got pocket jacks for that next hand around 40 minutes later. Under the gun is going to limp in for $10. The hijack is a very good reg from the United Kingdom. He is going to raise to $40. Pocket jacks in the small blind. I am, of course, re-raising. I make it $180 to go. Action is back on the reg from the UK. And he is going to put in the re-raise. He makes it $420 to go. I am not folding jacks just yet. I go ahead and make the call. Looking for a jack on the flop to make life easy, but it comes down queen 5 deuce with 2 diamonds. I check it on over to my opponent, and after a few seconds, he bets out for $220. Not going anywhere just yet. Not exactly in love with this spot, but definitely can't fold to 1 bet. I make the call, and we see an offsuit 9 roll off on the turn. I check it on over to my opponent, and he really thinks over his options. He takes a little while, but eventually he does bet again, this time for $600. I'm really thinking over the spot, and I decide that I've got pocket aces, maybe pocket kings, definitely pocket queens, definitely pocket 9s, also ace queen, king queen, and my diamond combos to call. So with pocket jacks, I just let it go. I tell him it's good for the vlog to show a bluff, and he obliges. He's got ace king with a diamond. The day of big boy bluffs at the Bellagio is absolutely upon us. Really nice hand to my opponent. You got to just tap the table and say, nice hand, sir. Next up, I've got queen 9 offsuit in the small blind. I raise it on up to $40, and the big blind is gonna make the call. He's the most Euro reg looking Euro reg in all of Vegas right now. That's the only read I've got. We go heads up to the flop, and it comes down queen 9-3 all clubs. Decent start. Top 2 pair. Mindful of the monotone board though. Still, I'm gonna see bet. I bet out for $30, and after a few seconds, Mr. European is gonna make the call. Turn is the 4 of spades, and I now decide to check it on over to my opponent. He thinks for a few seconds, and he bets out for $50, a small size in relation to the size of the pot. Now, you could check raise here, no problem at all for thin value versus a perceived weak turn size, but these Euros, they know what they're doing here, so I decide to just call with my top 2 pair. River is the 5 of diamonds, nothing really changes. I check again, and he bets $200. Obviously, calling here with top 2 pair can beat plenty of value hands and bluffs, so I snap call. And I lose to Jack 6 of clubs. Really gritty hand, gritty day, gritty table. The grind has been like this for me for a few weeks now. Just not much momentum at all. Games haven't been great, really grindy all in all. And I think it's time for a table change. Going to move over to a new table that's just starting. To be honest, it doesn't look amazing, but my last table was quite tough, quite stale. Let's just see what we can get going over at the new table. It takes 40 minutes before I play my first hand of note. The guy to my left is a fellow online poker regular. We've played a bit on Poker Stars together, and when this hand folds round to me in the small blind, I've got ace-5 offsuit. I decide to limp in, and he is going to raise it on up to $40. I am going to limp call with ace-5 offsuit, and we see the flop come down 10-5-4 with 2 hearts. Second pair, decent start. I check it on over to my opponent. He just checks it back. Turn is the ace of clubs. Really, really nice turn. We've got 2 options here. We can check, or we can lead out absolutely huge. I decide to check it on over to my opponent, and he bets out for $60. Obviously, check raising here, I make it $360 to go. That's 36 big blinds, relatively big check raise, and I'm happy to see my opponent make the call. River is the 7 of diamonds, really shouldn't change much. What do we want to do here on the river? I actually put this hand on my Instagram, given the option of checking to let him bluff, betting really small, betting a middling size, or moving all in. This is what Instagram thinks. I decide to move all in. I move all in for $1,675. My opponent sits back, shakes his head, and starts to talk to himself. He gets a count from the dealer. He's thinking over his options. I'm really excited, trying to give nothing away. He then asks me, am I a red liner or a blue liner when I play online? I don't say anything. I am going to talk to him after the hand about this, but not saying anything right now. He's really thinking over, and eventually he calls. I turn over my 2 pair, and he mucks his cards. Let's go. This is a Patrick Leonard power jam on the river for a huge amount of money, and my opponent has made the call. I am absolutely delighted as I drag in this really nice pot, and 1 minute later, I tell him I'm a blue liner online, and the Euro to my right lets out a massive giggle. 3 absolute nerds in Vegas talking about online poker. We need a few beers and an Uber across to the Rhino as soon as possible. Finally, a big pot coming my way. It's been a really gritty grind over the last few days, but at last, a really nice pot coming my way. I play for another 90 minutes or so, but no hands of note before racking up and heading to the airport. This is my last day in Vegas, not back to London just yet. I've got a couple of days in Los Angeles. Vegas has been really fun, but let's head back to LA for a couple of days, back to where it all started. Guys and girls, it is the next day. I'm not the best of travelers, so I had to rush around. Classic, I'm always rushing when I go to the airport. An absolute battle at the Bellagio over the last couple of days, but lots of fun hands, lots of really interesting spots. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed the Vegas content. A couple of days here in LA at the Hustler before heading back to the UK. That'll do it for this episode. Next one, I'll be at the Hustler, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. See you then.